Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something very cool to check out. We've got ourselves another Plannosaurus figure, but this time we don't have a dinosaur, and that's pretty intriguing because I think that's the first time so far. We've got ourselves the Mosasaurus, so we have a marine reptile included as well, and this looks really cool, honestly. It might be the best one so far. From what I can see, it'll be a tough one to kind of push out that Spinosaurus, but definitely excited to see if this one is the best overall. You can see a really cool image here on the front of the box with the Mosasaurus, as well as kind of a sneak peek there of the model itself. Down here on the side, you can see that in traditional style of these Plannosaurus, we have the ability to have just the skeletal reconstruction, as well as, again, the Mosasaurus actually put together, which definitely looks fun. Up here on the top, kind of the same stuff, just a little bit more information. Over here on the side, another image similar to what we see in the front, and then the same thing over there on the other side, and you're not going to see anything on the underside at all. So let's pop this box open and check it out. So as always, once we pop the box open, you can see we've got quite a bit going on when it comes to the pieces of the model, though I'm thinking there's a little bit less than we've seen before for the dinosaurs, because I would think there just probably isn't as much to put together for a Mosasaurus. We also have, if I can get a hold of it, the pieces of the body here of our Mosasaurus, once we actually put the skin and everything on it. We've also got the stand in here, which has a really cool translucent blue look to it, very different than we've seen up until this point, obviously giving us that kind of water effect. And then a few more pieces over here of the Mosasaurus. Again, it looks like we've got some flippers and stuff over here that will have to get put together. And then the instructions inside the box to assemble this. So let's pop all of these pieces open and get this skeleton assembled and check that out. So we've dimmed the lights a little bit here for a little bit of a nicer showcase here for the Mosasaurus, and you can see what it looks like now with the skeleton actually put together. It looks really, really cool. The stand I did put together, although there is a little bit of a different, piece that you can put in so that only one peg holds the skeleton up in the center. I chose to go this route for right now because this is only a transitionary period here as I move toward putting the skin and everything on, and then, this would be the stand that you would want to use for the Mosasaurus with you actually having the skin on it. But if you take it off, you can see it looks really, really good. Like, the actual appearance to the Mosasaurus skeleton is definitely well done, and it sports quite a bit of articulation, which is really fun. You can see the skull looks great. We have the articulated jaw on the skull, which can actually go really wide, and on the inside of the mouth you can see that we do actually have that extra row of teeth up there, which is definitely nice to see. You also have a little articulation here in the head, so you can move that around and up and down a little bit. The up and down motion is going to be caused by this area right here in the neck, though. You can see that moving as well. So you can kind of pose the Mosasaurus skeleton a little bit, just create a little bit of life to it, I would say. You've also got the ability to move the flippers here for the Mosasaurus. They can go up, down, left, and right, basically all over the place, and swivel if you really want to, and of course the same would happen over there. You can then move the midsection as well, so you can get a little bit of a curve to the body of the Mosasaurus. I think, yes, it can actually also go up and down, so you can definitely get some really nice movement in this. Again, you have the ability to move the flippers around back here, but you can kind of see how it's on like a joint where they move together. I don't know. I guess you can swivel them and stuff a little bit, move them around individually as well. So, yeah, you definitely have a little bit more as far as that goes. But you can also, again, move this section of the body around, up, down, left, and right. And then you move back here into the tail. You continue to have the ability to do that. And then, again, with the final piece, you can kind of make it go up and down. Not really so much, so it kind of pops off. Of course, that's actually very common for these figures. If you move them a little bit too much, they will pop off, but they pop right back in pretty easily. So you can see you can get a nice tilt to the body and everything when it comes to the skeleton, which is really, really cool. So from here, we are going to continue building our Mosasaurus, and we'll get the skin on it now. So there is our Mosasaurus now put together and definitely looking really cool. I can say confidently that it's not my favorite of the bunch, but it is definitely up there. I would say it's kind of a toss-up between this one and the Spinosaurus. I don't know who I would prefer more, but it's definitely a really cool looking figure, and it does continue to have articulation just like the dinosaurs do. You've got the articulation in the neck. You can't move it too much, and if you move it too far it will pop out of the socket, which is pretty common. You can still move the flippers and everything, which is really cool. We do have the midsection articulation as well as a spot right here. Again, the rear flippers also move, and then you can move the tail. So you do still have some decent articulation on this one, pretty close to what you... Oh, you also have the jaw as well, but pretty close to what you have when you have it in the skeleton form, and that is really cool. It sounds like maybe one of the bones came loose on the inside of the Mosasaurus. I kind of hear something moving around in there, but regardless, again, definitely looks pretty neat, so let's jump to a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Mosasaurus, you can definitely see it's got some pretty nice looking skin texture, nice scale detail here in the face, nice general appearance. The nostrils are sculpted out. We primarily have a bluish tone, a very dark blue for the upper side of our Mosasaurus, a light gray for the lower side. You can see the eyes are applied with a sticker, and they look, you know, okay, kind of generic. I really am not a big fan of the sticker thing that they have going on, but at least when it comes to the Mosasaurus, there's like the bare minimum of stickers for it. You don't see much outside of the eyes. There is one other spot where they give you the option to put a sticker on, and that would be the inside of the mouth, because you can now see, once you actually put the skin and everything on it, we do have a tongue and everything for the inside of the mouth. And I do like the fact that the tongue kind of slits at the end. I think that looks really cool, very reptilian. Again, you can see the inside of the mouth there on the upper side, as well as that extra row of teeth. All of the teeth are very nicely and individually sculpted. But as I was saying, you can apply a sticker to the tongue. I chose not to do that because I think the sticker looked pretty ugly on the tongue. I actually did put it on just to try it, but it looked horrendous and honestly took the detail away completely of the tongue, so you couldn't even see the fact that it had that slit on it. So I eliminated that sticker and took it off, but you can see it's basically just like a pink sticker. I didn't even put it back on correctly here on the sheet of paper, but definitely not something that I enjoyed would be that sticker. As you move back, you can see the scale detail kind of gets a little bit larger, very reptilian, you know, still as you move back. You can see that area of articulation right there, and again the light tone here of the underside. The skin texture also looks actually really nice here on the underside. As you continue to move along, you continue to see how nice the skin texture looks into the stomach from the chest, as well as the undersides of the flippers. It does have a very nice, very highly detailed appearance to it, and considering it is an articulated Mosasaurus, it is really cool. You know, you don't get too many articulated Mosasaurus figures, and especially not one with this much articulation, as there is quite a bit on this figure. But as you continue to move through, you can see like skin wrinkles and stuff here moving through the course of the Mosasaurus. Nothing too over the top. You can't see that part's actually popping open, but nothing too over the top when it comes to the detailing aspect. Just nice naturalistic skin texture, but again, considering it is a posable figure, there's nothing really different going on this side that you see compared to the initial side, so you're not going to see, well, that's popping open too. You can actually still see the bones in there a little bit. That is one of the only issues that I really have outside of the stickers when it comes to these Plannosaurus figures, is they don't always, you know, snap together perfectly. I did have a pretty big issue with the Spinosaurus. I'm having some issues with the Mosasaurus, but not quite as bad as what we had seen with the Spino. But as you lead out, you do have a really nice tail fin, and this is something that you didn't see really prior. I mean, you could see this area on the skeletal reconstruction of the Mosasaurus, but you didn't have this little area up here as far as the tail fin present, so that looks really cool. And again, you're going to see the same thing. There's definitely a bone loose on the inside of this Mosasaurus. I can hear it flopping around in there, which I'll have to take it apart and fix that then. But you can see, again, the same thing here on this side compared to what we had seen on the initial side. That same sort of ugly look when it comes to the sticker. It doesn't look bad from certain angles. Like, if you look at it from up here, you don't notice that it's a sticker so much. But once you come down here to the side and let the light hit it, like, it becomes really obvious. So definitely something that I'm not a huge fan of would be the sticker aspect to these figures. But overall, it is definitely a really cool-looking Mosasaurus. And then, of course, the stand itself is just a really nice translucent blue, giving us that kind of watery appearance, which I really, really like. Nice look here that you would expect for a Mosasaurus stand to kind of have that ocean-like look to it. So definitely really nice, and it just generally has a beautiful appearance to it. Like, I love the bluish tone that they have here and how nice and translucent it is. So definitely a nice stand to go with our Mosasaurus. As far as a size goes on the Mosasaurus, for a length from the snout to the tail, about 11 3/4 inches, or just shy of about 30 centimeters. You're not really going to get much when it comes to a Mosasaurus other than that when it comes to a size. Like, I could put it down and measure the height. I guess I could technically measure the height as it sits here on the stand. So if you go from the ground up here about 4 inches or 10 centimeters to the top of the tail fin, which appears to be the highest point. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Dilophosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day human being here next to our Mosasaurus to give you a pretty good idea of the size. If you are familiar with the Plannosaurus figures, honestly, it's pretty much in the size range you would expect it to be, because these figures are never huge, but they're also not super small. They're kind of like a decent medium size range. When it comes to Mosasaurus figures in comparison, there probably aren't very many that would compare with this version. So what I did was bring in the Shastasaurus, which was a recent release of Collect Day, to put next to the Mosasaurus. And if you put these two next to each other, you can see they are extremely similar in size. Length, they are very, very similar. Body mass, the, Bandai Mosasaurus here is a little bit larger. But if you do happen to have the Shastasaurus from Collect Day, you'll definitely have a very good idea of the size of the Mosasaurus. And then for one final comparison, because I really don't think we need too many here for this Mosasaurus, because we've done so many throughout the course of these Plannosaurus figures so far. But we have the Spinosaurus, which is the most recent Plannosaurus figure I've reviewed before the Mosasaurus, and you can see kind of similar in size. The Mosasaurus is definitely a little bit larger, but none of these figures are particularly huge, so they continue to sit in kind of a smaller size range. So this Bandai Plannosaurus Mosasaurus is definitely a really cool figure, and actually taking a look at it here, and after having the Spinosaurus next to it, I'm going to go ahead and say that the Mosasaurus is actually my favorite so far. Up until this point, we've had a Triceratops, a T-Rex, the Spinosaurus, and now the Mosasaurus, and I also have a Stegosaurus here that I'm going to have up on the channel very soon. There is also an Ankylosaurus coming, or maybe even out already, as well as a Pteranodon, I know is also getting a release, but that one isn't out quite yet. But out of the ones that I've reviewed, and I would say odds are out of the ones that are going to be released, the Mosasaurus is in fact my favorite. The sculpt is really well done, like extremely highly detailed as you move through. I would say it's probably some of the nicest fine detail that we've seen on any of these Plannosaurus figures so far. Very vibrant, which is something that the others kind of had a little bit of a muted look, but at the same time a very nice, highly detailed appearance, whereas this one, I think the detail just pops a little nicer than what we've seen on some of the others. It also sports a lot of articulation, which is fun, and the fact that the articulation that you have on the skeleton is almost the exact same articulation you get once you apply the skin is definitely cool, because a lot of the other figures, once you actually applied the skin, kind of limited the articulation a little bit, whereas with the Mosasaurus, it does a little bit, but not quite as much as you see on the Dinosaur. So that is definitely a plus for the Mosasaurus over the others. The actual paint application and coloration to this one as well, I think, is better, because we primarily just have the dark blue for the upper side, the light gray for the underside, but we don't have much when it comes to the stickers. The eyes are like the only thing that I, put the stickers onto, and I think it looks okay. Not great, but definitely not terrible either. The tongue I didn't put on because I did think that looked terrible, but, we don't have any kind of like patterning or anything through the course of the body that would be applied with stickers, so that also gives this one, in my opinion, a little bit of a higher quality look and feel, because the stickers definitely take away from the figures a lot of the time. And then, of course, you also have a really cool base there holding it up, and I love the translucent blues that we've used for the Mosasaurus, obviously replicating that kind of water-like look. So as a whole, this one is definitely a really cool release from Plannosaurus, and absolutely my favorite so far. So if you are interested in picking one of these up, I will include a link in the description to where I purchased mine on Big Bad Toy Store. So make sure you check that link, go grab this really cool Mosasaurus, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.